Hi everybody, welcome back to Making Stuff with Mrs. Baroody. I'm Mrs. Baroody, and today we're going to be painting, but not with regular paint. We are actually going to be painting in the snow, right? How exciting is that? I'm not going to go outside in the snow and paint because it is a little too cold outside, but I'm going to bring some snow into my house, and I'm going to show you the different ways that you can paint in the snow. So you can build a snowman and then paint it. You could even paint your snowballs. Just don't throw them at people. But we're going to give you lots of tips on how to make your paint for your snow and some safe ways to use it outside. All right, let's get started. All right, gang, so before you get started, here's a few things that you are probably going to need if you're going to make your water or your paint for playing in the snow. So I'm going to use a squirt bottle. I'm going to use that for one of my containers. I also have a lot of these drink bottles left over, and what I did was poked a hole in the top. I just used a hammer and a nail. You might need a grown-up to do that for you, and that way I can tip it upside down and squirt it in a little bit. I'm also going to use food coloring. So I have the paste kind, the fancy pants one, and I have some liquid watercolors. Food coloring. If you want to use watercolors, if you have liquid watercolors at home, awesome. You can dilute that into your water. If you have acrylic or tempera paint, you could also take a little bit of that and dilute it in the water. That just means it's not going to be as thick and as painty. It'll be more like our food coloring paint, okay? I also have a nice space to work on so I don't get my table messy. And you can use toothpicks or skewers. I happen to have skewers handy for mixing and for getting the water or the food coloring out of the containers. So the first one I'm going to do is in my squirt bottle. I'm going to take the top off and I'm going to add some water to it and hopefully not make a mess. Now I'm going to be using just a little bit of snow, so I just need a little bit of paint. So if you are going to be painting your whole yard, you might want to fill that up a little bit more. And then in this one, I think I'm going to use the paste watercolors. And I really like the color blue. So we're going to search through here until, I think that one's blue. Let's see. Oh, that's blue. So what I'm going to do is take my skewer and get some food coloring on it. And then I'm going to put it inside my bottle. And the reason I love my skewers is, look, it reaches all the way to the bottom. And I don't have to worry about trying to shake it, because too many things have happened where I've shaken something and then the top isn't on right, and now I'm all blue like a Smurf. All right, so I think that looks pretty blue. It looks a little turquoisey because my container is green, but it's blue. So I'm going to put the top on, put it aside. And then for my next one, in the bottle, I think that I'll use the liquid watercolors to see how that compares to the other food coloring. And I always clean up my mess when I'm done. Let's see what colors we have in here. I don't want to use yellow. I feel like that might be a little bit too much like my dog was outside. And I've already done blue. So why don't we do this kind of purpley? Oh, come on. They're stuck inside. Oh, goodness. Oh, all right. Let's do this magenta pink color for the love of toast. And I already have water in this bottle, so we're just going to add it right in there. And you can always add more. So I'm going to start with maybe 5 drips. Give it a stir with my different skewer, because that one's got some blue on it. We don't want blue in here. Give a little bit of mix. I can see from the top it looks pretty pinky purpley, but I think I want to show it up a little bit more. So I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 more drops. Give it a little stirry stir. And there we go. Now I can put my cool squirty bottle cap on. And then we are ready to paint our snow. All right. All right, gang, so here's my snow. I went outside and used a spoon and I scooped some up into my trays. Now, if you want to do this inside too, here's a trick. I took my little baking trays and I put them in the freezer because they're metal. They really absorb that cold and they're going to retain it for a little bit. So when my snow's inside, this has been in for a couple of minutes and it's not really melty yet, which is pretty awesome. All right, so I'm going to use my spray bottle and I'm going to turn it so hopefully it doesn't spray everywhere. And I'm going to give it a squirt. Let's see if it works. Oh, look at all the blue. It totally works. Look at that. Oop, dripped on my table. Look at that texture that shows up in the snow. Do you guys see that? That's amazeballs. I would also recommend, if you're doing this outside, maybe start with cold water, because if you start with hot water, then your snow's going to melt a little bit. That is so cool. Now, the more I spray in one section, it will melt a little bit, but it comes a little bit darker, right? Oh, my goodness, Mrs. Baroody keeps spilling on my table. Now, if you want to be a little fancy, you could use one of your skewers that you had and make designs in your snow so it looks a little bit more, I don't know, like tie-dyed a little bit, right? Let's try our bottle, see if that works out or if it's going to be a giant mess. Remember, I put a hole in the middle. It works. Look at that. I could make designs. I could write my name. That is so cool. And look at it with the blue. It's starting to turn purple. So 2 bottles of water with just a little bit of food coloring, and look at the fun we can have. How exciting. All right, guys, there you have it. That's how you paint in the snow. Now, again, I use food coloring, but if you don't have food coloring at home, you could take some watercolor paint, some tempera or acrylic paint, and just do a little drop inside your water to dilute it, and it should work out fine. The trick with the hole in the top of the bottle, I'm not going to say I'm a genius, but that worked out pretty darn good, didn't it? And then a spray bottle. And again, if you don't have any of these things, a paper cup is just fine. I wouldn't necessarily do it in a nice mug, you know, that your mom likes to drink tea out of every morning, because your watercolor and your paint, that's going to stain it. So I would use a yucky old cup that you're not going to use again, or a paper cup for it, okay? If you bring it inside, remember, you can always put your tray in the freezer, make it nice and cold, so then your snow doesn't melt as quickly. And always make sure that you're working in a space that it's okay to get a little messy in, or you've laid something out so you don't make a mess, all right? Have fun. Make sure that you're being safe, you're being kind, and you're being creative, and I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday season, all right? I'll see you guys later. Bye.